This July 4th, we will mark 2.5 centuries of liberty and triumph, progress and freedom in the most incredible and exceptional nation ever to exist on the face of the earth. And you've seen nothing yet. We're going to do better and better and better. This is the golden age of America. When I last spoke in this chamber 12 months ago, I had just inherited a nation in crisis with a stagnant economy, inflation at record levels, a wide open border, horrendous recruitment for military and police, rampant crime at home, and wars and chaos all over the world. But tonight, after just 1 year, I can say with dignity and pride that we have achieved a transformation like no one has ever seen before, and a turnaround for the ages. It is indeed a turnaround for the ages. And we will never go back to where we were just a very short time ago. We're not going back. Today, our border is secure. Thank you. Today, our border is secure. Our spirit is restored. Inflation is plummeting. Incomes are rising fast. The roaring economy is roaring like never before, and our enemies are scared. Our military and police are stacked, and America is respected again, perhaps like never before. After 4 years, in which millions and millions of illegal aliens poured across our borders, totally unvetted and unchecked, we now have the strongest and most secure border in American history by far. In the past 9 months, 0 illegal aliens have been admitted to the United States. But we will always allow people to come in legally, people that will love our country and will work hard to maintain our country. The flow of deadly fentanyl across our border is down by a record 56% in 1 year. And last year, the murder rate saw its single largest decline in recorded history. This is the biggest decline, think of it, in recorded history, the lowest number in over 125 years, year 1900. In fact, substantially before my wonderful father, I had a wonderful father, Fred, before he was born, substantially before he was born. That's a long time ago. He wouldn't like me to say that, but that's a long time ago. The Biden administration and its allies in Congress gave us the worst inflation in the history of our country. But in 12 months, my administration has driven core inflation down to the lowest level in more than 5 years. And in the last 3 months of 2025, it was down to 1.7%. Gasoline, which reached a peak of over $6 a gallon in some states under my predecessor, it was quite honestly a disaster, is now below $2.30 a gallon in most states, and in some places, $1.99 a gallon. And when I visited the great state of Iowa just a few weeks ago, I even saw $1.85 a gallon for gasoline. Mortgage rates are the lowest in 4 years and falling fast, and the annual cost of a typical new mortgage is down almost $5,000 just since I took office. 1 year. And low interest rates will solve the Biden-created housing problem while at the same time protecting the values of those people who already own a house that really feel rich for the first time in their lives. We want to protect those values. We want to keep those values up. We're going to do both. And we are going to keep it that way. The stock market has set 53 all-time record highs since the election. Think of that, 1 year. Boosting pensions, 401ks, and retirement accounts for the millions and millions of Americans. They're all gaining. Everybody's up, way up. In 4 long years, the last administration got less than $1 trillion in new investment in the United States. And when I say less, substantially less. In 12 months, I secured commitments for more than $18 trillion pouring in from all over the globe. Think of it, much less than $1 trillion for 4 years versus much more than $18 trillion for 1 year. What a difference a president makes. A short time ago, we were a dead country. Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world, the hottest. As thousands of new businesses are forming in factories, plants, and laboratories are being built, we have added 70,000 new construction jobs in just a very short period of time. It's getting bigger and bigger and stronger. Nobody can believe what they're watching. American oil production is up by more than 600,000 barrels a day, and we just received from our new friend and partner, Venezuela, more than 80 million barrels of oil. American natural gas production is at an all-time high because I kept my promise to drill, baby, drill. More Americans are working today than at any time in the history of our country. Think about that. Any time in the history of our country, more working today. And 100% of all jobs created under my administration have been in the private sector. We ended DEI in America. We cut a record number of job-killing regulations, and in 1 year, we have lifted 2.4 million Americans, a record, off of food stamps. And for all of these reasons, I say tonight, members of Congress, the state of our union is strong. Our country is winning again. In fact, we're winning so much that we really don't know what to do about it. People are asking me, please, 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 Mr. President, we're winning too much. We can't take it anymore. We're not used to winning in our country. Until you came along, we're just always losing, but now we're winning too much. And I say, no, 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 you're going to win again. You're going to win big. You're going to win bigger than ever. And to prove that point, here with us tonight is a group of winners who just made the entire nation proud. The men's gold medal Olympic hockey team. Come on in. Go ahead. Ladies. That's the first time I've ever seen them get up. And actually, not all of them did get up. But they beat a fantastic Canadian team in overtime, as everybody saw, as did the American women who will soon be coming to the White House. They were in the Oval Office before, and I just want to say a second very big congratulations to Team USA. But I have to say that, and I told them this, and we took a vote of the team. I said, anybody votes no, I'm not doing it. So they stood there, and they weren't about to say no, because I've never seen a goaltender play as well as goalie Connor Hellebuyck. Think of it, 46 shots on goal. And I asked him, the one shot, the one where you put your stick in the back and it hit the neck of your stick and bounced off. You practice that, or was that a little lucky? He refused to answer that question. But I just want to tell you that the members of this great hockey squad will be very happy to hear, based on their vote and my vote, and in this case, my vote was more important, that I will soon be presenting Connor with our highest civilian honor, which we will be given and which has been given to many athletes over the years. But when I say many, not too many, like 12, it's called the highest civilian honor in our country, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Great athletes have gotten that, very great, the best. And I thought he deserved it. And I did take a vote, every single one of them. I said, I'm not giving it if anybody goes no. And every single one of them rapidly put up their hand. So I want to thank you all. What a special job you did. What special champions you are. Thank you very much. I'm also pleased to say that the next time the Olympic torch is lit, it will be here in America for the 2028 Olympics. And it's the summer version right in Los Angeles. We're going to do a good job in Los Angeles. And Los Angeles is going to be safe, just like Washington, D.C. is now one of the safest cities in the country. And this year, and I must say I got them both. I got them in the first term, and I was disappointed because I didn't think I'd be the president when this happened. But strange things took place. And now I've got them because I got the Olympics and I got the 2026 FIFA World Cup. And I wanted to claim the 250th, but I didn't get away with that one. I couldn't claim that one for myself. But we're getting the World Cup. So we have the World Cup and the Olympics coming. And that is exciting news. So this will be a year to celebrate our country and the heroes who have kept it free. Men like Buddy Taggart. At age 17, Buddy volunteered to defend America in World War II, serving in the Pacific under the great General Douglas MacArthur. He fought bravely in the famous Battle of Manila, worked so hard. He was badly wounded and almost killed by enemy machine guns in Luzon. And 81 years ago this month, he liberated the largest internment camp in the Philippines, one of the largest anywhere in the world. But he earned many honors, including a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star, came home, started a family, and tonight he is in the gallery looking forward to July 4th, 2026, his 100th birthday. So, Buddy, you're a brave man, and we salute you. Even in times of challenge, setback, and immense heartache, the spirit of 1776 has always shone through very brightly. It was July 4th of last year when floodwaters tore through a girls' summer camp in Central Texas, one of the worst things I've ever seen. I was there, rising 26 feet in the matter of minutes, tragically claiming many, many lives. You all remember that one? As the waters threatened to sweep her away, 11-year-old Millie Kate McClymont closed her eyes and prayed to God. She thought she was going to die. Those prayers were answered when Coast Guard rescue swimmer Scott Ruskin descended from a helicopter above. Nobody knew where he came from. It was Scott's first ever rescue mission, a young guy, but very brave, very, very top, always top in his class. And he lifted not just Millie Kate, but 164 others to safety. People watched Scott from a distance, and they couldn't believe what they were seeing. The winds were blowing, the rain was pouring, everything was going, and that rapid water, nobody's ever seen anything like it. They said, wow, that's something. Tonight, Scott and Millie Kate are here together, reunited for the very first time. Thank you, Scott, Millie Kate. And Petty Officer Ruskin, I'm pleased to inform you that I am now awarding you the Legion of Merit for extraordinary heroism, which is what it was, extraordinary heroism. Thank you. And I'd like to have the military aide to please come down and take care of the service. Military aid, thank you very much. Take care of that very important service. Thank you very much. From 1776 to today, every generation of Americans has stepped forward to defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And they're really doing it for the next generation. But now it's our turn. Together, we're building a nation where every child has the chance to reach higher and go further, where government answers to the people, not the powerful, and where the interests of hardworking American citizens are always our first and ultimate concern. That is the debt we owe to the heroes who came before us, and that is the promise we must keep to America for our 250th year. Last year, I urged this Congress to begin the mission by passing the largest tax cuts in American history, and our Republican majorities delivered so beautifully. Thank you, Republicans. All Democrats, every single one of them, voted against these really important and very necessary, massive tax cuts. They wanted large-scale tax increases to hurt the people instead. But we held strong, and with the great, big, beautiful bill, we gave you no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. And we also made interest on auto loans tax deductible the first time, but only if the car is made in America. Recently in Pennsylvania, I met Megan Hemhauser, a devoted mom who's homeschools her children, beautiful, 2 children, during the day while waiting tables at night as her husband works overtime operating very heavy equipment. Megan is here this evening, and she's happy to tell you that she is so much richer because with no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and our expanded child tax credit done again by Republicans, Megan and her husband will take home more than $5,000 extra just for the year, cutting her tax bill in more than half. Megan, please stand up. We're fighting for you, Megan. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Megan. We're fighting for you, Megan. Under our bill, parents like Megan can also activate their children's brand new Trump accounts. And I didn't name it. I did not name that. Nobody believes me, but I did not name it. It was named by a very tall man sitting right there in the third row. Nice man, a good man. Tax-free investment accounts for every American child. This is something that's so special and has taken off and gone through the roof. Millions will be pre-funded courtesy of the U.S. Treasury and private individuals like Michael and Susan Dell, who have donated $6.25 billion to fund the Trump accounts for 25 million American children. They're great people. You know, I asked Michael Dell, how do you make all that money? He said, well, I just sat on my dorm in school and I made computers and I'd sell them to people. And I just kept selling and selling and selling. And pretty amazing story. That's called the American dream. He sold a lot of computers, a lot of those laptops. So I congratulate him on that. But I really thank him and Susan, as well as others like Brad Gerstner, a very tremendous guy. He was behind it right from the beginning. Brad Gerstner. Thank you, Brad. So with modest additional contributions, these young people's accounts could grow to over $100,000 or more by the time they turn 18. Think of it. How much money is that for somebody that started with nothing? Over 100,000, could be much more than that. To make this investment in our children's future, go to trumpaccounts.gov, trumpaccounts.gov. And a lot of people are doing it. It's setting every record in the book. It's popular. They knew what it was going to take. I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud of the people that got it started. And now it's just taken off. One of the primary reasons for our country's stunning economic turnaround, the biggest in history, where the Dow Jones broke 50,000 4 years ahead of schedule, and the S&P hit 7,000, where it wasn't supposed to do it for many years, were tariffs. I used these tariffs, took in hundreds of billions of dollars to make great deals for our country, both economically and on a national security basis. Everything was working well. Countries that were ripping us off for decades are now paying us hundreds of billions of dollars. They were ripping us so badly, you all know that. Everybody knows it. Even the Democrats know it. They just don't want to say it. And yet these countries are now happy, and so are we. We made deals. The deals are all done. And they're happy. They're not making money like they used to, but we're making a lot of money. There was no inflation, tremendous growth. And the big story was how Donald Trump called the economy correctly, and 22 Nobel Prize winners in economics didn't. They got it totally wrong. They got it really wrong. And then just 4 days ago, an unfortunate ruling from the United States Supreme Court. It just came down. It came down. Very unfortunate ruling. But the good news is that almost all countries and corporations want to keep the deal that they already made, right, Scott? Knowing that the legal power that I, as president, have to make a new deal could be far worse for them, and therefore they will continue to work along the same successful path that we had negotiated before the Supreme Court's unfortunate involvement. So despite the disappointing ruling, these powerful country-saving, it's saving our country, the kind of money we're taking in, peace-protecting. Many of the wars I settled was because of the threat of tariffs. I wouldn't have been able to settle them without. Will remain under fully approved and tested alternative legal statutes. And they have been tested for a long time. They're a little more complex, but they're actually probably better, leading to a solution that will be even stronger than before. Congressional action will not be necessary. It's already time tested and approved. And as time goes by, I believe the tariffs paid for by foreign countries will, like in the past, substantially replace the modern-day system of income tax, taking a great financial burden off the people that I love. Right? Moving forward, factories, jobs, investment, and trillions of dollars will continue pouring into the United States of America because we finally have a president who puts America first. Put America first. I love America. For decades before I came along, we had the exact opposite. From trade to healthcare, from energy to immigration, everything was stolen and rigged in order to drain the wealth out of the productive, hardworking people who make our country great, who make our country run. Under Biden and his corrupt partners in Congress and beyond, it reached a breaking point with the Green New scam, open borders for everyone. They poured in by the millions and millions from prisons, from mental institutions. They were murderers, 11,888 murders. They came into our country. You allowed that to happen. And record-setting inflation that cost the typical family $34,000 in just a speck of time. Now the same people in this chamber who voted for those disasters suddenly use the word affordability, a word they just used it. Somebody gave it to them, knowing full well that they caused and created the increased prices that all of our citizens had to endure. You caused that problem. You caused that problem. They knew their statements were a lie. They knew it. They knew their statements were a dirty, rotten lie. Their policies created the high prices. Our policies are rapidly ending them. We are doing really well. Those prices are plummeting downward. The price of eggs is down 60%, Madam Secretary. Thank you. The cost of chicken, butter, fruit, hotels, automobiles, rent is lower today than when I took office by a lot. And even beef, which was very high, is starting to come down significantly. Just hold on a little while. We're getting it down. And soon you will see numbers that few people would think were possible to achieve just a short time ago. Nobody can believe when they see the kind of numbers, and especially energy, when they see energy going down to numbers like that, they cannot believe it. It's like another big tax cut. I'm also confronting one of the biggest ripoffs of our times, the crushing cost of health care caused by you. Since the passage of the Unaffordable Care Act, sometimes referred to as Obamacare, big insurance companies have gotten rich. It was meant for the insurance companies, not for the people. With our government giving them hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars a year as their stock prices soared 1,000, 1,200, 1,400, and even 1,700%, like nothing else. That's why I introduced the great healthcare plan. I want to stop all payments to big insurance companies and instead give that money directly to the people so they can buy their own health care, which will be better health care at a much lower cost. In addition, my plan requires maximum price transparency. That's a big deal. Sounds so simple, so big. And I did that in my first term, and the Democrats immediately terminated it with full knowledge that they were doing a very bad thing for the people. Costs were going to go way up, and that's what happened. And now I'm bringing them way down on healthcare and everything else. I'm also ending the wildly inflated cost of prescription drugs like has never happened before. Other presidents tried to do it, but they never could. They tried. Most didn't try, actually. But they tried. They said they tried. They couldn't do it. They didn't even come close. They were all talk and no action, but I got it done. Under my just enacted most favored nation agreements, Americans who have for decades paid by far the highest prices of any nation anywhere in the world for prescription drugs will now pay the lowest price anywhere in the world for drugs. Anywhere, the lowest price. So in my first year of the second term, should be my third term, but strange things happen. I took prescription drugs, a very big part of healthcare, from the highest price in the entire world to the lowest. That's a big achievement. The result is price differences of 300, 400, 500, 600% and more, all available right now at a new website called TrumpRx.gov. And I didn't name that one either, by the way. And here tonight is the very first customer ever to get that big discount, and it is big, Catherine Rayner. For 5 years, she and her husband have struggled with infertility, and they turned to IVF. One drug has been costing Catherine $4,000 to purchase. But a few weeks ago, she logged onto the Trump RX website and got that same drug that cost $4,000, got it for under $500, a reduction of much more, actually, than $3,500. Catherine, we are all praying for you, and you're going to be a great mom. So now I'm calling on Congress to codify my most favored nation program into law. Now, the one thing I'm not sure it matters because it's going to be very hard for somebody that comes along after me to say, let's raise drug prices by 700 or 800%. But John and Mike, if you don't mind, codify it anyway. They may do it. Codify it anyway. Thank you. Many Americans are also concerned that energy demand from AI data centers could unfairly drive up their electric utility bills. Tonight, I'm pleased to announce that I have negotiated the new Ratepayer Protection Pledge. You know what that is? We're telling the major tech companies that they have the obligation to provide for their own power needs. They can build their own power plants as part of their factory so that no one's prices will go up. And in many cases, prices of electricity will go down for the community and very substantially down. This is a unique strategy never used in this country before. We have an old grid. It could never handle the kind of numbers, the amount of electricity that's needed. So I'm telling them they can build their own plant. They're going to produce their own electricity. It will ensure the company's ability to get electricity while at the same time lowering prices of electricity for you, and could be very substantial for all of you cities and towns. You're going to see some good things happen over the next number of years. Another pillar of the American dream that has been under attack is home ownership. With us tonight is Rachel Wiggins, a mom of two from Houston. She placed bids on 20 homes and lost all of those bids to gigantic investment firms that bypassed inspection, paid all cash, and turned those houses into rentals, stealing away her American dream. She was devastated. Stories like this are why last month I signed executive order to ban large Wall Street investment firms from buying up in the thousands single-family homes. And now I'm asking Congress to make that ban permanent because homes for people, really, that's what we want. We want homes for people, not for corporations. Corporations are doing just fine. Racel, thank you very much. Good luck with your home. You'll get one soon. We're also working to make it easier for Americans to save for retirement. And under this administration, we will always protect Social Security and Medicare. They are not protecting it for our seniors. We will always protect Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Since I took office, the typical 401k balance is up by at least $30,000. That's a lot of money. We have millions and millions of people, because the stock market has done so well, setting all those records. Your 401ks are way up. Yet half of all of working Americans still do not have access to a retirement plan with matching contributions from an employer. To remedy this gross disparity, I'm announcing that next year my administration will give these often forgotten American workers, great people, the people that built our country, access to the same type of retirement plan offered to every federal worker. We will match your contribution with up to $1,000 each year. As we ensure that all Americans can profit from a rising stock market, let's also ensure that members of Congress cannot corruptly profit from using insider information. They stood up for that. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Did Nancy Pelosi stand up if she's here? Doubt it. Pass the Stop Insider Trading Act without delay. I wasn't sure if anybody, even on this side, was going to applaud for that. I'm very impressed. Thank you. I'm very impressed. But when it comes to the corruption that is plundering, it's plundering America. There's been no more stunning example than Minnesota, where members of the Somali community have pillaged an estimated $19 billion from the American taxpayer. Oh, we have all the information. And in actuality, the number is much higher than that. And California, Massachusetts, Maine, and many other states are even worse. This is the kind of corruption that shreds the fabric of a nation, and we are working on it like you wouldn't believe. So tonight, although started 4 months ago, I am officially announcing the war on fraud to be led by our great Vice President, J.D. Vance. He'll get it done. Find enough of that fraud, we will actually have a balanced budget overnight. It'll go very quickly. That's the kind of money you're talking about. We'll balance our budget. The Somali pirates who ransacked Minnesota remind us that there are large parts of the world and lawlessness are the norm, not the exception. Importing these cultures through unrestricted immigration and open borders brings those problems right here to the USA. And it is the American people who pay the price in higher medical bills, car insurance rates, rent, taxes, and perhaps most importantly, crime. We will take care of this problem. We're going to take care of this problem. We are not playing games. Delilah. Delilah Colden was only 5 years old in June 2024 when a 18-wheel tractor trailer plowed into her stopped car traveling at 60 miles an hour or more. The driver was an illegal alien let in by Joe Biden and given a commercial driver's license by open borders politicians in California. Doctors said Delilah would never be able to walk or talk, have a good life. She wouldn't even be able to eat again. But against all odds, she is now in the first grade learning to walk. And she's here this evening with her dad, Marcus, a fantastic man. Delilah, please, you are a great inspiration. Please stand up. Thank you, Delilah. Many, if not most, illegal aliens do not speak English and cannot read even the most basic road signs as to direction, speed, danger, or location. That's why tonight I'm calling on Congress to pass what we will call the Delilah Law, barring any state from granting commercial driver's licenses to illegal aliens. And yesterday, as you probably saw at the White House, I hosted a ceremony with Americans who lost their treasured loved ones to the scourge of illegal immigration. People came into our country, how we allowed this to happen with our open borders. These are the angel moms and families that for decades our government betrayed and our media totally ignored. It was terrible. Hard to believe, actually. In 2023, a 16-year-old high school cheerleader named Elizabeth Medina was supposed to perform in her town's Christmas parade, but she never arrived. Her mother, Jacqueline, went home to look for her, and she found her lying dead in a bathtub, bleeding profusely after being stabbed 25 times. Elizabeth's killer was a previously arrested illegal alien who had broken in and brutally extinguished the brightest light in her family's life, violently and viciously. Her heartbroken mother is in the gallery to remind everyone in this chamber exactly why we are deporting illegal alien criminals to our country at record numbers, and we're getting them the hell out of here fast. We don't want them. Thank you very much, Jacqueline. Thank you. We can never forget that many in this room not only allowed the border invasion to happen before I got involved, but indeed they would do it all over again if they ever had the chance. If they ever got elected, they would open up those borders to some of the worst criminals anywhere in the world. The only thing standing between Americans and a wide open border right now is President Donald J. Trump and our great Republican patriots in Congress. Thank you. Thank you. As we speak, Democrats in this chamber have cut off all funding for the Department of Homeland Security. It's all cut off. It's all cut off. They have instituted another Democrat shutdown, the first one costing us 2 points on GDP. 2 points we lost on GDP, which probably made them quite happy, actually. Now they have closed the agency responsible for protecting Americans from terrorists and murderers. Tonight I'm demanding the full and immediate restoration of all funding for the border security, homeland security of the United States, and also for helping people clean up their snow. We have no money because of the Democrats, and it would be nice. We'd love to give you a hand at cleaning it up, but you gave no money. Nobody's getting paid. It's a shame. So you have to think about it. We have, in case you didn't know, a pretty large snowstorm out there. One of the great things about the State of the Union is how it gives Americans the chance to see clearly what their representatives really believe. So tonight, I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. Isn't that a shame? You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up. You should be ashamed of yourself. That is why I'm also asking you to end deadly sanctuary cities that protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country, they're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself. And perhaps most importantly, I'm asking you to approve the Save America Act. To stop illegal aliens and others who are unpermitted persons from voting in our sacred American elections. That cheating is rampant in our elections. It's rampant. It's very simple. All voters must show voter ID. All voters must show proof of citizenship in order to vote. And no more crooked mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military, or travel. None. And this should be an easy one. And by the way, it's polling at 89%, including Democrats, 89%. And even the new communist mayor of New York City, I think he's a nice guy, actually. Speak to him a lot. Bad policy, but nice guy. Just said they want people to shovel snow. They got hit hard. Wants them to shovel snow, but if you apply for that job, you need to show 2 original forms of ID and a Social Security card. Yet they don't want identification for the greatest privilege of them all, voting in America. No, it's no good. No good. Both Republicans and Democrats overwhelmingly agree on the policy that we just enunciated. And Congress should unite and enact this common sense, country-saving legislation right now, and it should be before anything else happens. And the reason they don't want to do it, why would anybody not want voter ID? One reason, because they want to cheat. There's only one reason. They make up all excuses. They say it's racist. They come up with things you almost say, what imagination they have. They want to cheat. They have cheated, and their policy is so bad that the only way they can get elected is to cheat. And we're going to stop it. We have to stop it, John. And here is one more opportunity to show common sense in government. In the gallery tonight are Sage Blair and her mother, Michelle. In 2021, Sage was 14 when school officials in Virginia sought to socially transition her to a new gender, treating her as a boy and hiding it from her parents. Hard to believe, isn't it? Before long, a confused Sage ran away from home after she was found in a horrific situation in Maryland. A left-wing judge refused to return Sage to her parents because they did not immediately state that their daughter was their son. Sage was thrown into an all-boys state home and suffered terribly for a long time. But today, all of that is behind them because Sage is a proud and wonderful young woman with a full ride scholarship to Liberty University. Sage and Michelle, please stand up. And thank you for your great bravery. And who can believe that we're even speaking about things like this? 15 years ago, if somebody was up here and said that, they'd say, what's wrong with him? But now we have to say it because it's going on all over numerous states without even telling the parents. But surely we can all agree no state can be allowed to rip children from their parents' arms and transition them to a new gender against the parents' will. Who would believe that we're even talking about this? We must ban it, and we must ban it immediately. Look, nobody stands up. These people are crazy. I'm telling you, they're crazy. Amazing. Incredible. Boy, oh boy. We're lucky we have a country. With people like this, Democrats are destroying our country, but we've stopped it just in the nick of time, didn't we? Huh? No one cares more about protecting America's youth than our wonderful First Lady, now a movie star. She's a movie star. Can you believe it? Who would have believed that? Over the past year, she has had an incredible impact championing AI legislation, advancing a landmark executive order on foster care, and helping secure $30 million to launch the Melania Trump Foster Youth to Independence Initiative. It's a tremendous, really a tremendous thing that happened and had a lot of bipartisan support. She gets much better bipartisan support than I do. I get none. She gets a lot. Someday you're going to have to tell me how you did that. And students and educators in every state have joined the First Lady's efforts in the presidential AI challenge, keeping America's next generation positioned to succeed and strongly succeed in the future. Tonight, we welcome two young people whose lives reflect the First Lady's impact, Sierra Burns and Everest Nevermont. Thank you both, and Melania, thank you. I know how hard you worked on it. Thank you very much. I'm very proud to say that during my time in office, both the first 4 years and in particular this last year, there has been a tremendous renewal in religion, faith, Christianity, and belief in God. Tremendous renewal. This is especially true among young people, and a big part of that had to do with my great friend, Charlie Kirk, a great guy, great man. So last year, Charlie was violently murdered by an assassin and martyred, really martyred for his beliefs. His wonderful wife, Erica, is with us tonight. Erica, please stand. Thank you, Erica. Been through a lot. In Charlie's memory, we must all come together to reaffirm that America is one nation under God, and we must totally reject political violence of any kind. We love religion, and we love bringing it back, and it's coming back at levels that nobody actually thought possible. It's really a beautiful thing to see. Above all, unleashing America's promise requires keeping our communities safe. We have made incredible strides, yet dangerous repeat offenders continue to be released by pro-crime Democrat politicians again and again. We are honored to be joined tonight by a woman who's been through hell, Anya Zarutska. In 2022, she and her beautiful daughter, so beautiful, what a beautiful young woman, Irina, fled war-torn Ukraine to live with relatives near Charlotte, North Carolina. And by the way, what's going on with Charlotte? Last summer, 23-year-old Irina was riding home on the train when a deranged monster who had been arrested over a dozen times and was released through no cash bail, stood up and viciously slashed a knife through her neck and body. No one will ever forget. There were people on that train. No one will ever forget the expression of terror on Irina's face as she looked up at her attacker in the last seconds of her life. She died instantly. She had escaped a brutal war only to be slain by a hardened criminal set free to kill in America came in through open borders. Mrs. Zaretsky, tonight I promise you we will ensure justice for your magnificent daughter, Irina. How do you not stand? How do you not stand? I'm asking this Congress to pass tough legislation to ensure that violent and dangerous repeat offenders are put behind bars, and importantly, that they stay there. Starting last summer, I deployed our National Guard and federal law enforcement to restore law and order to our most dangerous cities, including Memphis, Tennessee, big success, New Orleans, Louisiana, big success, and our nation's capital itself, Washington, D.C., where we have almost no crime anymore in Washington, D.C. How did that happen? In fact, crime in Washington is now at the lowest level ever recorded, and murders in D.C. this January were down close to 100% from a year ago. They don't like to hear that. One of sick people, one of the brave service members who helped achieve this stunning turnaround was 20-year-old West Virginia Army National Guard Specialist Sarah Beckstrom. After a 4-month deployment, she voluntarily extended her service, and her rank was going to be lifted. She was doing so well. They were so proud of her. But the very next day, she was on patrol near the White House when she was ambushed and shot in the head by a terrorist monster from Afghanistan. Shouldn't have been in our country. And all because she wore the uniform of our nation, she was shot. He traveled here because he didn't like people wearing our uniform. He was sick and deranged, shouldn't have been in our country. Sarah Beckstrom died in order to defend our capital, and we are honored to be joined by her wonderful parents, Gary and Evalie. Your daughter was a true American patriot, and she will be greatly missed. She was a great person. I saw reports on her. They've never seen anything like it. So sorry. Thank you very much. A great young lady. I saw reports that were like, perfect. She was perfect. Serving alongside Sarah that day was Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf. The terrorist shot Andrew in the head, and no one thought he could possibly make it. The two of them, Sarah and Andrew, both shot violently in the head. Neither was expected to make it. They weren't even given a chance, except his wonderful mother, named Melody, who I spoke to the same night. And she was so positive. The doctors thought that Andrew was gone. But his mother said, no, Mr. President, Andrew will be fine. He's going to make it. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, he was given almost no chance. She said, I have no doubt, sir, he's going to be okay. This was a conversation that I had with her that night, with her son laying helplessly in bed, blood all over. Everybody is praying, she said, sir, he will be okay. The doctors didn't understand what she was saying. And after looking at the results of the damage done, neither did I. She was so strong and conclusive that even Andrew's great father felt she didn't really understand the gravity of the situation. But she turned out to be right. Right, Melody? She turned out to be right. Amazing, actually. I said, where does this woman come from? She's the most positive person I've ever met. With God's help, Andrew has battled back from the edge of death, and we're talking about the edge of death, on his way to a miraculous recovery. He's got a little work to do, but he's doing great. Nice to see you. He's a good-looking guy. Nice to see you. Thanks, Andrew. Thank you very much. So, Andrew, while you're up, now I'm going to ask a highly respected General James Seward to present Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf and the great family of Sarah Beckstrom with the award created by our late great President George Washington himself. It's called the Purple Heart. We love you all. Love you. We're proudly restoring safety for Americans at home, and we are also restoring security for Americans abroad. Our country has never been stronger. In my first 10 months, I ended 8 wars, including Cambodia. Isn't it funny? Sick people. Cambodia and Thailand, Pakistan and India. Would have been a nuclear war. 35 million people, said the Prime Minister of Pakistan, would have died if it were not for my involvement. Kosovo and Serbia, Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, Armenia and Azerbaijan, the Congo and Rwanda, and of course the war in Gaza, which proceeds at a very low level. It's just about there. And I want to thank Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner for your help. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Jared. And I also want to thank the man they report to, Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Thank you, Marco. People like you. You know, Marco got 100% of the votes when he was in confirmation. I think our next one was about 54%. And some of the Democrats are now saying, I can't believe we approved that guy. And he said it's an honor that they feel that way, right, Marco? You have done a great job, great Secretary of State. I think he'll go down as the best ever. Under the ceasefire I negotiated, every single hostage, both living and dead, has been returned home. Can you believe that? Nobody thought it was possible. Nobody thought that was possible. Both living and dead. And those parents who had a dead son, their boy, they'd always tell me their boy, they wanted him as much as though he were living. It was an amazing period of time. They came back, and when we got all of the living hostages back, and many, many before them, but I always said those last 20 are going to be very tough, but we got many, many more, hundreds. But I said those last 20 are going to be tough. We got them back, but we only got back 14 or 15 of the dead of the 28. And believe it or not, Hamas worked along with Israel, and they dug and they dug and they dug. It's a tough thing to do, going through bodies all over, passing up 100 bodies sometimes for each one that they found. Tough job. And they finally got it back to 27. And then Steve and Jared, they got it back to 28. They found all 28. Nobody thought that was possible, but we did it. And I remember the family of the 28th. They were so grieved, but they were so happy as it's possible to be. They had their boy back. The mother said, "Sir, we have our boy back." What a period of time that was, but we got them all back. So thank you both very much. Great job. And we're working very hard to end the ninth war, the killing and slaughter between Russia and Ukraine, where 25,000 soldiers are dying each and every month. Think of that, 25,000 soldiers are dying a month. A war which would have never happened if I were president, would have never happened. As president, I will make peace wherever I can, but I will never hesitate to confront threats to America wherever we must. That's why in a breakthrough operation last June, the United States military obliterated Iran's nuclear weapons program with an attack on Iranian soil known as Operation Midnight Hammer. Good. For decades, it had been the policy of the United States never to allow Iran to obtain a nuclear weapon. Many decades. Since they seized control of that proud nation 47 years ago, the regime and its murderous proxies have spread nothing but terrorism and death and hate. They've killed and maimed thousands of American service members and hundreds of thousands and even millions of people with what's called roadside bombs. They were the kings of the roadside bomb. And we took out Soleimani. I did that during my first term. Had a huge impact. He was the father of the roadside bomb. And just over the last couple of months with the protests, they've killed at least, it looks like 32,000 protests, 32,000 protesters in their own country. They shot them and hung them. We stopped them from hanging a lot of them with the threat of serious violence. But this is some terrible people. They've already developed missiles that can threaten Europe and our bases overseas, and they're working to build missiles that will soon reach the United States of America. After Midnight Hammer, they were warned to make no future attempts to rebuild their weapons program, and in particular, nuclear weapons. Yet they continue starting it all over. We wiped it out, and they want to start all over again, and are at this moment again pursuing their sinister ambitions. We are in negotiations with them. They want to make a deal, but we haven't heard those secret words. We will never have a nuclear weapon. My preference. My preference is to solve this problem through diplomacy. But one thing is certain, I will never allow the world's #1 sponsor of terror, which they are by far, to have a nuclear weapon. Can't let that happen. And no nation should ever doubt America's resolve. We have the most powerful military on earth. I rebuilt the military in my first term. We're going to continue to do so. Also, we just approved a $1 trillion budget. We have no choice. We have to be strong because hopefully we will seldom have to use this great power that we built together. It's really called Peace Through Strength, and it's been very, very effective. So thanks to Republicans in Congress who are investing that record number of dollars, have no choice, in the United States Armed Forces. Also creating a lot of jobs, but we're not even doing it for that reason. Because as I said, we have more jobs, more people working today than ever before in the history of our country. And NATO countries are friends and allies. They are. They're our friends and they're our allies. Have just agreed at my very strong request to pay 5% of GDP for military defense rather than the 2%, which they weren't paying. We were paying for almost all of NATO. Now they're paying 5 as opposed to not paying 2. And getting that 5% was something which everyone said would never be done, could not happen. We got it really easily. One meeting. And big difference between 2% that's not paid. We were paying the freight of many of them. Very few were paid up. Now 5%, then they're paid. And everything we send over to Ukraine is sent through NATO, and they pay us in full. They pay us totally in full. Every branch of our armed forces is setting records for recruitment. This is so exciting. And every service member recently. And every service member recently received a warrior dividend of $1,776. You know, they put it on my desk. We got the money from tariffs and other things, a lot of money we have. We have much more money than people understand. Have to rebuild that program a little bit, but it won't take long. But we got the money, and it was $1,775, and they wanted my approval. And I said, what's the number? $1,775. I said, wait a minute. For $1 more, we can have $1,776. It's going to I said, we're going to figure that. I never asked anybody if we could afford it. $1 more. I said, $1,776. And I said, that's good. And I'll tell you what, our military, that was 4 months ago, our military, I never see a person in the military that doesn't thank me for it. So we're honored to do it. They deserve it. And we call it 1776. It was great. And we love our military. We love our law enforcement. We love our firemen. You know, the firemen don't get mentioned enough. We love our firemen. We're also restoring American security and dominance in the Western Hemisphere, acting to secure our national interests and defend our country from violence, drugs, terrorism, and foreign interference. For years, large swaths of territory in our region, including large parts of Mexico, really large parts of Mexico, have been controlled by murderous drug cartels. That's why I designated these cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, and I declared illicit fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction. And with our new military campaign, we have stopped record amounts of drugs coming into our country and virtually stopped it completely coming in by water or sea. You probably noticed that. We very seriously damaged their fishing industry also. Nobody wants to go fishing anymore. We've also taken down one of the most sinister cartel kingpins of all. You saw that yesterday. In January, elite American warriors carried out one of the most complex, spectacular feats of military competence and power in world history. No one's seen anything like it. Foreign leaders, I won't tell you who, called me and they said, very impressive, very impressive. They couldn't believe, they all watched, they saw what happened. This is a different fighting force that we had years ago when we fought to tie. It's a great fighting force. I'm so proud of it. Look at Space Force. Space Force is my baby because we did that. My baby is becoming so important. And America's armed forces overwhelmed all defenses and utterly defeated an enemy, good fighters, to end the reign of outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro and bring him to face American justice. And this was an absolutely colossal victory for the security of the United States, and it also opens up a bright new beginning for the people of Venezuela. We're working closely with the new president of Venezuela, Delcy Rodriguez, to unleash extraordinary economic gains for both of our countries and to bring new hope to those who have suffered so terribly. They really did suffer. With us tonight is Alejandro Gonzalez. She grew up in a tight-knit Venezuelan family and was especially close to her beloved uncle Enrique. But after Enrique ran for office and opposed Maduro, he was kidnapped by Maduro's security forces and thrown into the regime's really infamous prison in Caracas. Alejandro feared she would never see her uncle again. She feared for her own life also. But since the raid, we have worked with the new leadership, and they have ordered the closure of that vile prison and released hundreds of political prisoners already, with more to come. Alejandro, I'm pleased to inform you that not only has your uncle been released, but he is here tonight. We brought him over to celebrate his freedom with you in person. Enrique, please come down. Thank you, Enrique. Have a good time. Nice to have you back, Enrique. There were many heroes on that January raid to capture Maduro, really great heroes. It was very dangerous. They knew we were coming. They were all set. But the deeds of one warrior that night will live forever in the eternal chronicles of military valor. Chief Warrant Officer 5, Eric Slover, planned the mission and was the flight lead in the cockpit of the first helicopter, a big, beautiful, powerful helicopter. It was a massive Chinook carrying, as you can imagine, many, many American warfighters. Wearing the dog tags, his wife Amy had blessed with holy water before he left. She knew it was going to be a rough one. Eric steered the Chinook under the cover of night and descended swiftly upon Maduro's heavily protected military fortress. This was a major military installation, protected by thousands of soldiers and guarded by Russian and Chinese military technology. How did that work out? Not too good. While preparing to land, enemy machine guns fired from every angle, and Eric was hit very badly in the leg and hip, one bullet after another. He absorbed 4 agonizing shots, shredding his leg into numerous pieces. And yet, despite the fact that the use of his legs was vital to successful helicopter flight, legs are the most important part of flying a helicopter, to deliver the many commandos who would capture and detain Maduro was the only thing Eric was thinking about. Then, even as he was gushing blood, which was flowing back down the aisle, helicopter lands at a steep angle. The machine guns stood right in front of him. They were right in front of him, 2 machine gunners who escaped the wrath of the previous planes. Eric maneuvered his helicopter with all of those lives and souls to face the enemy and let his gunners eliminate the threat. Turned the helicopter around so the gunners could take care of business, saving the lives of his fellow warriors from what could have been a catastrophic crash deep in enemy territory. Only after safely landing the helicopter with all the warriors aboard in the exact right spot, which was vital to the mission. We probably would have had to maybe cancel the mission if that didn't happen. Eric told his co-pilot, also wounded, but not as gravely, to take over. I'm about ready to pass out. The success of the entire mission and the lives of his fellow warriors hinge on Eric's ability to take the searing pain. It was unbelievable what's happened to his legs of the bullets and keep on flying and landing, and people knew what was happening. Everybody in the back of the helicopter knew because they saw the blood pouring down the aisle. Chief Warrant Officer Slover is still recovering from his serious wounds, but I'm thrilled to say that he is here tonight with his wife, Amy. Eric and Amy, come on in. So we have a surprise for Eric and Amy. In recognition of Eric's actions above and beyond the call of duty, I would now like to ask General Jonathan Braga to present Chief Warrant Officer Slover with our nation's highest military award, the Congressional Medal of Honor. Well, thank you very much, Eric and Amy. Great to get to know you. I met with them and with a lot of their fellow warriors at Fort Bragg recently. You notice the name Fort Bragg. We have it back. We brought it back. We won the First World War with it, the Second World War with it, and then they decided to change the name. So we changed it back. Everybody wanted to change back too. And 10 of Eric's fellow warriors from that incredible night of victory will also be receiving medals at a private ceremony that will soon be held at the White House. And Eric will be there. Thank you. Thank you, Eric. That's a big one. Tonight we've celebrated many truly extraordinary American patriots, but there is one last living legend to honor before we go. He is one more heroic American aviator, Navy fighter pilot. Royce Williams served in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, flying more than 220 missions. In the skies over Korea in 1952, Royce was in the dogfight of a lifetime, legendary dogfight. Flying through blizzard conditions, his squadron was ambushed by 7 Soviet fighter planes. It was his first aerial combat of the war, and despite being massively outnumbered and outgunned, Royce led the takedown of 4 enemy jets and almost destroyed the others, vanquishing his adversaries while taking 263 bullets to his own plane and being seriously hurt. His story was secret for over 50 years. He didn't even want to tell his wife, but the legend grew and grew. But tonight, at 100 years old, this brave Navy captain is finally getting the recognition he deserves. He was a legend long before this evening. Royce, please stand up, and I will ask the First Lady of the United States to present Captain Royce Williams with his Congressional Medal of Honor. Thank you, Royce, and thank you, Eric. I've always wanted the Congressional Medal of Honor, but I was informed I'm not allowed to give it to myself, and I wouldn't know why I'd be taking it, but if they ever open up that law, I will be there with you someday. But you know, that's our highest honor, Congressional Medal of Honor, and that's a big thing. And it's an honor to be in the same room with you. Thank you both very much, Eric. Thank you. Thank you. 250 years is a long time in the life of a nation, but in another sense, it's really a mere moment in the eye of history. Two of the gentlemen we met in the gallery this evening took their first breaths 1 century ago, 100 years before that, on July 4th, 1826, the author of the Declaration of Independence, brilliant, Thomas Jefferson, drew his last breath. Just a single long human lifespan separates the giants who declared and won our independence from the heroes who stand among us tonight. Everything our nation has done, everything we have achieved, has been the work of those few great lifetimes. In those brief chapters, Americans built this nation from 13 humble colonies into the pinnacle of human civilization and human freedom, the strongest, wealthiest, most powerful, most successful nation in all of history. Americans ventured out across the daunting and dangerous continent. We carved paths through an unforgiving wilderness, settled a boundless frontier, and tamed the beautiful but very, very dangerous Wild West. From empty marshes and wide open plains, we raised up the world's greatest cities. Together, we mastered the world's mightiest industries and shattered history's monstrous tyrannies. And we liberated millions from the chains of fascism, communism, oppression, and terror. Americans lifted humanity into the skies on the wings of aluminum and steel. And then we launched mankind into the stars on rockets powered by sheer American will and unyielding American pride. We wired the globe with our ingenuity. We captivated the planet with American culture. And now we are pioneering the next great American breakthroughs that will change the entire world. All of this and so much more is the enduring legacy, unmatched glory of the hardworking patriots who built and defended this country and who still carry the hopes and freedoms on all of humanity's backs. For years, they were forgotten, betrayed, and cast aside. But that great betrayal is over, and they will never be forgotten again. Because when the world needs courage, daring, vision, and inspiration, it is still turning to America. And when God needs a nation to work his miracles, he knows exactly who to ask. There is no challenge Americans cannot overcome, no frontier too vast for us to conquer, no dream too bold for us to chase, no horizon too distant for us to claim. For our destiny is written by the hand of providence, and these first 250 years were just the beginning. From the rugged border towns of Texas to the heartland villages of Michigan, from the sun-kissed shores of Florida to the endless fields of the Dakotas, and from the historic streets of Philadelphia to right here in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., the golden age of America is upon us. The revolution that began in 1776 has not ended. It still continues because the flame of liberty and independence still burns in the heart of every American patriot. And our future will be bigger, better, brighter, bolder, and more glorious than ever before. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
Well, hello everyone. I was not planning on commenting tonight, but um, just wanted to talk to you about the State of the Union because you all took the time to be here. Unfortunately, Naomi was going to be on to address Ludovic's comment there. Naomi was going to be on Emerald Robinson's, but I'm not sure. I think they I'm not sure why she wasn't, but she's in the next room, so she agreed to pop on. I think it just got so late because she has early commitments. I know Emerald does as well. But I'm here, and if you'd like to see Naomi, I'm sure she would hop on and say hello to everyone. But she will definitely be doing commentary tomorrow. I always enjoy her analysis of State of the Unions. I personally thought it was a great State of the Union. What was really neat about it was, oh, I'm sorry, my name is Brian O'Shea. I'm your host and of Investigate Everything. So, what I really thought was really well done is, hey, yeah, she's right there. Do you want to say hi to my audience?
Sure.
All right, Naomi.
Yes. I washed my makeup off.
She washed her makeup
They'll
off
forgive me.
really quickly.
Yes. Did you just snap?
Really quickly. I'm being producer.
Okay.
What was your thoughts, really quickly, about the speech?
Well, can I sit a little more comfortably?
Sure.
Thank you. I have to
There you go.
share your seat.
Slide it on over.
Wow. Well, I have lots of notes. I mean, I think it was 3/4 of the way in a home run. It just went on too long, which, is his temptation to kind of go on too long. Or just no human being has the ability to sustain their attention for 2 full hours.
Oh, no, I do.
Well, you're special, darling. But I thought he did so many things right. I mean, so many things right. He managed to make it not about him, which is, I'm just trying to sit. There we go. His temptation is to kind of go into Donald Trump, as a kind of third person narrative about Donald Trump. And he mostly avoided that and very beautifully shone a spotlight, told stories on, ordinary, extraordinary Americans, people who really well-chosen people. And it's an old tactic, right? It goes back to, gosh, it must be 25 years or more. Presidents have been saying there's this person in the audience who represents this problem or this solution. But his examples were really well chosen. I especially liked the example of the waitress whose husband works late. And so they had multiple examples of how they were saving money because of President Trump's no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. That really worked very well. I thought the theatricality, he did a very good job as a producer almost of showcasing that he and the Republicans, or really he and MAGA, were defending America, for America, America first, loving America, and kind of very visually boxing out the Democrats who just looked like losers. Like visually, the Republicans were very well curated, right? The women were wearing very carefully chosen deep red or even deep maroon or deep royal purple, burgundy, I should say, suits. And the men were wearing a lot of red ties like President Trump, and otherwise in blue, of course. And the reason that worked so well is that you had this very imperial or patriotic, I shouldn't say imperial, patriotic half of the chamber that looked healthy and well and patriotic. And they were getting up en masse and sitting down en masse. They looked disciplined. They looked energized and positive, and not in a fascistic way, right? Just in a healthy, it's the 1980s again, we have a country back sort of way. And then it made the Democrats look sickly, passive.
Yeah, they didn't look good.
They didn't look good. They had no color in there. The women were wearing white suits, which I think was about abortion rights last time around. But again,
Mm.
you know, there's no activity on abortion rights. It's
Oh,
been
that's a good
decided.
point. That's a
Yeah.
really good
So
point.
they don't have a, you know, it's not a strong card to play. And they, you know, he boxed them out so well by indicating like that they weren't going to stand up for the mother of that poor woman, Irina, the young woman who was killed on a bus, you know, by a monster. But the Democrats seemed so ungracious and so unpatriotic. The other thing he did, he avoided a lot of pointless name calling, which really turns off moderate voters and swing voters and, you know, former Democrats like me. But he did manage to be very principled about how he challenged the Democrats. I think when he said, you did this, you know, you were responsible for the high prices. You know, you don't want to pass the SAVE Act. The only way you can win is by cheating. It was very dramatic to kind of call them out right there. And I thought that worked really, really well. And honestly, you know, he's got a miraculous number of victories. I mean, it's just, you know, the legacy media never goes through. He did this. He ended 8 wars. My God, you know, he brought about peace in the Middle East. He ended Gaza's crisis. You know, he brought the hostages home, right? The Dow Jones is up. You know, the eggs are affordable. Gas is affordable. Like the border, 0 people illegally have crossed the border. These are incredible achievements in 1 year. And like in my lifetime, I've never heard, and I've been, you know, my then husband, as you know, was helping to write the State of the Union during the Clinton years. And in my lifetime, I've never heard of a president an administration accomplish this much, and not just accomplish this much of their own agenda, but accomplish this much of policies and achievements that are really kind of nonpartisan for the most part, like just popular for America. So, you know, good for him. He delivered it well. He didn't get lost into a lot of rabbit holes. He can lose track of his grammar sometimes, you know, just when he free associates or go for a cheap shot. And he avoided that for the most part. He looked good. He looked forceful, much younger than his years. I'm a little worried about him leaning heavily to one side, but it reads very FDR in a good way, like whatever it is, you know, he's carrying it off, right? He might just be tired standing up for 2 hours. I was tired.
It's pretty late.
Sitting down. Yeah. It's late. Exactly. You know, God bless him.
Well, I do want to say that, if I may,
please,
I was watching Blue Sky, which is the, you know, the getter of the left. And they were pretty much relegated to saying, oh, his hair looks bad. And
oh, geez, were they really?
Yeah, it was really pathetic. And they were like, oh, he's, you know, you could tell he's getting tired now. Like they so want to use the same stuff that Joe Biden was actually doing.
I wanted to show this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really sad. No, just David Lee says it's a great time to be alive and God bless America. And that's how I felt. Honey, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I wanted to say something apropos of that. I felt myself smiling like 3/4 of the way through his speech. I was just smiling because he's right. You know, I mean, think back to Biden's State of the Union. I'm so traumatized by the Biden years that I don't even remember the States of the Union, but he was barely functioning cognitively.
That was terrible.
It was terrible. It was a painful elder abuse kind of thing every time he gave a live speech.
And don't forget, didn't he do wasn't the Philadelphia State of the Union with the, you know, kind of crimson Nazi backdrop? Wasn't that a State of the Union?
I don't think that was a State of the Union because the State
of
the
Union. Oh, no, that was,
I'm
sorry, you're right. That was a national threat.
Right.
Yeah, which no one could understand anyway, so it landed flat. I mean, something about his grandfather Finnegan and you know.
It's unmemorable, but the point is, this president was so forceful. You really believe he has this quality that great leaders have. Churchill had it, FDR had it, whether you like his policies or not, of you really believe that he cares first about the country, that he's thoroughly devoted to the well-being of the country. Queen Elizabeth had it, you know, and people can just feel it. You can't fake it. I don't think whether he had that, he didn't convey it to someone like me in his first term. There was too much ego going on, but now he's in the zone. He's allegorically manifesting like the mission of this country again. And the other thing that was beautiful, Brian, was that theme of 250 years, 1776, and he referenced it. It's shining in your heroism, 100-year-old veteran. It's a through line. It's a thread. You really felt that, like, and when he said we brought our country back just in time, right? You felt like we're back on mission, right? We have a mission. It's the greatest mission of any country that ever was. That's really true. It's not hyperbole. And we're back. And you just look at this and think, who would ever want to be? I know he should be. I hope he will. Who would ever, like, what do the Democrats have right now? Except, I don't know, some twisted claim to defending abortion rights,
No,
which
they
are
have
quite
nothing.
secure, and be nice to immigrants. Like, I don't know what else they've got, sort of the environment, but they're not
Mhm.
even making much use of that.
Well, and I would say also what really I thought was genius was, and by the way, I will address that in a second. I will say this, Ludovic, and thanks for joining. Yeah, of course, I think everyone's concerned about the national debt. And unfortunately, we're in so much debt that to right this ship, we actually have to spend more money to right the ship. That was, and it's not just the Democrats, it's the rhinos of the past as well. And I will say this, a lot of people left and right have said, oh, Donald Trump was in debt most of his career. Yeah, but you know what?
That's how you build business.
He came out
right?
of debt
Yeah.
and came out on top. So if
Right.
anyone is probably in the right place at the right time, it's Donald Trump. But we could talk about that another time because I'm not an economics guy, so I don't want to like step on my own tongue here.
Well, what did you feel, honey? Like watching?
Well, I was
it?
going to say, I thought it was very, very strategic. It was very America first.
Mhm.
And hold on, what do you need?
Oh, I'm just trying to tilt this a little bit so that I'm not.
You're in my house now, sweetheart. There'll be no tilting. I've got
cutting off my chin.
I've got a comatose dog back there, but don't worry, I won't shock him.
Right.
That is Loki back there, and yes, we're in the mobile studio. So,
the mobile studio, aka bedroom.
yeah, aka Brooklyn. But anyways, how did I feel? And I'm going to put this back up.
Yeah, just how did you
for
feel
some
as
reason,
an
the avatar
American? How do
label
you
is
feel
not
about
working.
the speech?
I thought it was great. Look, I feel there was a time back when Joe Biden slithered into the White House, I believe illegally. And then all of the legacy media was like, oh, the adults are back in the room.
I remember
We've
that.
got Biden, we've got Blinken, I mean, come on, Biden is like 3 adults in one. He's like 300 years old. But the thing is, they're like, we got Blinken, we got, and they're all like, oh, blah. And even some people I like on the left are like, I'm going to hold you to that, Joe, and it's like, it was almost like, yeah, you stupid people,
Mhm.
we're back in charge, don't worry about it.
Right.
And they made it worse than ever. So how did I feel about it? I felt like the adults were actually
Right.
back in the room.
That's right.
And what I like about President Trump's style and his whole administration, and especially Marco Rubio,
Oh yeah.
he's
So
fantastic.
fantastic.
What I like is that he's not reacting. Donald Trump is not reacting to
Right.
polls.
Right.
He's not reacting to media. And the entire purpose of polls is to kind of manipulate the administration into doing what
It's true.
the people that own the polls want.
It's true.
And it drives them nuts. The legacy media, because it was a CNN poll that everyone was quoting. It drives them nuts that he doesn't care.
Yeah,
and I think Dan
the poll
Bunch
was allegedly saying a 60% negative.
Yeah, but and when you go through, and I always recommend people look at the actual polling questions and the sampling. And another topic for another day, but to land this plane, and Dan Bongino said it best. He said, because he just left the deputy director FBI position, and he's giving Dan Bongino's giving some really good insider baseball about what really goes on. And I think everyone should listen to it because he's like, look, investigations take time. Look, this happens. He hasn't really addressed the Epstein thing, but again, I don't want to go down that right now. What I will say, having worked in government, is he said it right. He said, hey, look, media, if you want to if you want to get someone promoted
Mhm.
in the Trump administration,
Mhm.
then put out a headline that says Trump should fire so and so.
Right.
That is the quickest way to get promoted under Trump, because
Mm.
that's how much he doesn't listen to the media. So what I
There you
saw
go.
today was the media didn't matter.
Mhm.
He did not dwell on issues like the DEI stuff and all that.
Yeah, good.
He
Yeah, that's
dwelled
good.
on a strong America honoring its heroes,
Yeah.
honoring its heroes.
Yeah.
And I think that was the centerpiece of this, was honoring the heroes, not just men in uniform
Right.
or women in uniform, but people that were almost killed by illegal alien truck
Right.
drivers and everything. And he honored it across the board. But what I love about it is he says their name,
Mm.
never their race,
Mm.
never where they hail from.
Not their sexual
They are a
orientation.
person.
That's right.
And that's all that matters. So
Yeah.
that's what I got at. I was very, very proud of our president tonight.
Yeah, he really did a beautiful job. And it's new I don't think he's always been like this. I think since the second assassination attempt or whatever, last July or the July before.
Well, we just had one.
Right, I know, but I think he changed,
Mhm.
in Baker.
It was
That place.
you put me on the spot.
Sorry,
I can't remember, but
he
yeah.
changed the time that the bullet grazed his ear, and he seems much more humble and much more able to manifest that he sees the divinity and the dignity in every person. And it helps because when he's slapping around the Democrats, he's not as repellent. Like, I used to feel he was quite repellent when he was like poking at an enemy.
Yeah.
It was just like off-putting. I didn't want to watch it. It was kind of sadistic. And I do feel like that's gone. And also that's very good for him, because that repellent quality, and I know I don't mean to upset all of you Trump lovers, but I am from the Democratic world and we felt this way, it's good for the Democrats made the most of that kind of aversion that people felt to his meanness. He could be mean, like, oh, you're an ugly woman, whatever. No one likes that. And he really feels gracious now. And like really respectful of everybody. Things shifted, and it does feel biblical, doesn't it? It does. I'm so glad that David Lee mentioned this, because as you all know, maybe some of you know, I'm reading through the Geneva Bible and the Hebrew Bible, and over again, if you don't read the Old Testament, especially in the original, you don't, or a good translation like the Geneva Bible, you don't get this as fully. But the story is all over and over and over again. Everything was lost, but God's hand was with this group of people or this leader, and it all worked out, and nothing could have hurt them. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. And that's it really felt like that tonight. It was like, holy cow, we almost lost this beautiful mission, but this guy stepped in, this very impressive, good administration. Like, you really feel like a lot of these are good people. Rubio, Tulsi Gabbard, I don't know them personally. But even like Mrs. Vance seems lovely, Melania is lovely. Like, they're lovely people, and they weren't lovely people at the last.
No, they're nasty.
Nasty. Yeah.
And they're still nasty.
Yeah.
There's, someone popped up, Blue Wolf, who I said, do you like his name? Obviously. But he had said, he was watching another stream while he's watching mine. He said, Ilhan Omar talked through the entire thing.
Did she?
Yep.
That's so rude.
Well,
I saw Democrats on their phones.
Yeah, they are acting honestly.
How rude.
And look, I mean, the voting demographic is majority left, center, right. And that means most of those people work.
Interesting.
Okay. And that kind of behavior is the kind of behavior of very, very young new employees.
Right.
It's the kind of behavior that has really hurt millennials in even getting jobs.
Right.
And when
it's very entitled, right?
Yeah. And as much taxes, especially in blue states like we're in right now, that we pay, people start thinking, hey, you know what? That was fun when I, shocked by Donald Trump, or I didn't like him. That's not me talking to them. But now it's kind of old. Like, things are serious now. We've got nuclear war on the brink, in my opinion, no fault of our own, the Trump administration. we're trying to save this sinking ship of an economy because we went into so much debt. It's still going to take a lot of miracles to get out of it. And hardworking Americans, left or right,
Yeah,
they're worried that their kids won't even have a future.
totally.
And we don't have time for people to be looking at their phones and everything. And I would say to this audience, keep spreading the word, especially to the left, that the Democrats have been taken over by the socialists. That's what people don't understand. The Democratic Socialists of America have pretty much hijacked the Democratic Party. The whole squad is DSA. Mondami's DSA, even though he's not
Democratic
DSA.
Socialists of America.
What's that? Yeah, Democratic Socialists of America. This is a hijacking. It's a hijacking that occurred in Czechoslovakia in the same fashion in 1948 by people called Democratic Socialists.
Wow.
And so this is a kind of a communist attempt to take over our country. There's also the American Communist Party trying to scuttle the message of the right. Okay. So my final thoughts, so just keep that in mind. It's important that you don't repel your Democratic neighbors. And I doubt many of you do. I mean, I'm surrounded by Democrat neighbors. I don't care. They don't care. It's not the same as online, as you know. But the thing is, they're shocked when they realize that the DSA, or the Democratic Socialists of America, are not Democrats. You saw what Mondami did on his ballot, right?
Yeah.
He ran
Working Families Party.
Yeah, he ran under the Working Families Party because DSA is not a party.
Right.
And that's a pure socialist communist party.
Yes, they are.
So the more you can teach, not MAGA for the most part gets it. Teach MAGA not to focus on silly, frivolous things like, well, maybe the aliens were in the Epstein files. No, I mean, we've really got to take these midterms seriously because it's not 2028 we have to worry about. It's 2026. It's now.
But they will put us right in quarantine camps if
they'll put us in quarantine camps, and they will rip open that border.
Yeah, they will.
Okay. You're going to see constitutional rights go right out the door, and they don't care because the Biden administration has shown before they don't care about constitutional. They don't care about the Supreme Court. They ignore it. So we are on the brink. So any Candace Owens or any moron that follows her who says, oh, the midterms don't matter, I want to get to the bottom of this. No, the midterms matter because guess what? If we lose the midterms, you won't be allowed to get to the bottom of anything.
That's true. Baby, this was so interesting.
Communism will win. Okay, come on, let's play.
Well, baby,
you can go.
Okay. Well, thank you all.
This is when it gets saucy. I like it. Everyone, this has been Naomi Wolf, my wife. She's great, and I'm sure you'll get more commentary tomorrow.
When I was growing up, there was an ad, which is a long time before you were growing up. There was an ad that had a guy saying, "My wife, I think I'll keep her." It was considered very sexist.
When was this?
This is like in the
I think
70s.
I'll keep her.
My wife, I think I'll keep her anyway. It would just
I mean, that's a good ad. I mean, it's not like it's her choice. So yeah, totally sexist.
All right, guys, this was fun. I think it was. I would give it a 95 out of 100.
She gives it the Trump 95 out of 100. That comes from Naomi Wolf. Thanks. All right, so we're gonna fix this camera and wrap it up. See my messy room. All right, communism will win. Here we go. America will be a communist nation. So this is DKC Diddy on YouTube. So everyone on this feed, go find out who that is. We can play with that person all day. Communist. By the way, DCK Diddy. No, they won't. You know why? Because even if they win, they've already lost. Because the history of communism, y'all kill each other anyways. Okay, we'll just, if by chance you steal another election, that's okay. We'll just hide in the shadows till you kill each other, and we'll just come right back out and eliminate you all. So have fun with that. Oh, that's nice. Thank you. I will make sure she sees. Okay, she's on her phone, so she sees it. Thanks, Chris St. Prince, and we love you too. Bless you both. Thank you. Okay. I always actually like the communist commentators. They actually crack me up. Bless you both, and thank you for being in the arena. Been in the arena for a long time. We appreciate that. Thank you, David Lee. And you're here too. You're in the arena. Roscoe, good to see you as well. And let me see. Workers will win. Yeah, no, workers have won. How do you think Donald Trump got in, you twit? Good Lord. Do you actually think the Republicans are not the Workers' Party? Now, look, I get it. All right, we're not going to go into this because I don't want to overshadow Donald Trump's incredible speech, incredible capitalist, Western non-communist speech, PK, whatever the hell your name is. But I will say this: we know what you're doing. You know, we understand how the American Communist Party broke off from the DSA, the Democratic Socialists, whatever they are. Democratic Socialists of America. That's Hal Zeldin and that idiot Jackson Hinkle, who's actually a Russian. We understand about the multipolar world, how the Russian communists are trying to push into the conservative space because you see, oh, that's where all the workers are. We'll get them. Smart, I get it, but they tried it in Czechoslovakia. It worked. We're a little smarter than you, though. There we go. About time, Amber. Autumn, sorry. Democratic Socialists plus Islam equal the end of America. It does, Autumn, but that's okay because we're fighting that on all fronts. And the way we're fighting it is more than just with words. We're fighting it with boots on the ground action. We're taking that vote in Texas. We are going to ban Sharia law. Okay. And if you look at my profile, you see banthebrotherhood.org. I'm working actively with some of the best minds in this country to make sure that doesn't happen. But we have to do more. You have to do more. Everyone has to do more, like Autumn does. Brian, what is your favorite book? That's a huge question, Chris. Let me put a pin in that. I'm going to leave it up on the screen so I don't forget. But I need you to come back and say favorite book on what? Fiction, nonfiction, which on communism. Just kind of narrow that in because I have a lot of favorite books, or Naomi's books, you know. But anyways, so yeah, what I was saying, Autumn, was we have to, everyone has to fight this. And how do you fight it? Well, you fight it locally. And a lot of people say that. A lot of people won't tell you how to fight it locally. Let me tell you how to fight it locally. I am watching now. There are so many zoning boards being taken over by socialists and communists. Now, why is that important? Because it's the zoning board. They can change, they can move the lines of the flood zone, they can do a million things. Think about men and women as warriors. You go off to war, you fight, and you come home. That's where you regroup, you know, get with your family. If you take away the home, you take away a huge, huge independent power structure called the nuclear family. Mao did this. That's why he had communes. Okay, so if you want to fight communism, first of all, educate yourself. Okay, believe it or not, before 2020, I knew very little about communism because, fun fact, our US intelligence community wasn't really looking at places like China. It might be shocking, right? And even I believe that we defeated communism. Well, we didn't. We never did. Because as long as there are haves and have-nots or people that think that they're getting a raw deal, there will always be people like, what's his face here, DKC Diddy, or a million people that say, hey, you deserve more. You deserve more. Someone took that from you. Okay. So what can you do? Get on those zoning boards. Attend every meeting. Look for special use permits. It was, basically, a famous Chinese line. I almost said Mao Zedong, but from Sun Tzu, Japanese. There's one rule in there that says, never let the enemy see the path home because it will fight to the death to get there. So if you take away the home, will they still fight to the death? I don't know. Probably not. So I always say, look at home first. Well, your homes are under attack. Check your zoning boards, see who are on the zoning boards, and get in front of them. And I don't care if you're in a red state. Look at the DSA just as one of the 30 organizations that are communist actively operating in this country. Look at the DSA chapter map and find the chapters near you, infiltrate them, disrupt them, make it hard for them to learn about them. There's a million things you can do. So, all right. Okay, I'll get to you in a sec. I see you. Thanks for following up there, Chris. All right. So, why do workers always do worse under communism? To that other, well, that's because communists are liars. Okay, and it's not that workers are stupid. It's just that they're tired. They work all day long, and see, that's the really disgusting, slithery thing about communists. They know this. Okay, and they move right in. Look at Trotsky. Look at Marx. None of these people worked a day in their life. Like, do you know Marx never even went to a factory until after he was trying to like get some traction on communism? Like, he never had worked a day in his life. Marx was actually living on his dad's will before his dad was even dead. Okay, they're liars. Okay, there's something I like to say about communists. Okay, communists, they're kind of like a certain kind of optimist. What is my definition of an optimist? Someone who tells you to smile when things are going their way. Never believe a communist. If you hear the word community, okay, do it for your community, like with mass and everything, you're probably talking to a communist. All right? There is no community in the Constitution. It's put your mask on first and then help others. Well, put your mask on first and then help others. Anyone that tells you to do something else, oh, okay. See, this is here's a classic communist right here, or a wannabe communist, DK. And Autumn, if you got time, look this person up. I don't have time to, I can't get off the screen, but I will. Republican won by fraud. Okay, already I could tell this is either an illiterate person or someone from another country. Republicans. No, they did not, but get your grammar right. Okay? Okay? Get your grammar right. Republicans. Okay? Not Republican won by fraud. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I mean, come on. If you're going to be a troll, be a good troll. Be good at what you do. I know in communism they only tell you to be so good. Try a little harder. Come on, people are up late here. All right, I want to ask DKC why workers overall seem to do considerably worse under communism. Yeah, there you go, DKC. You got the floor, my man or woman or whatever the hell you are. You can't answer it. They can never answer it because it's one of the many reasons why they try to destroy history. Fun fact, do you know that most historians call the People's Republic of China the People's Republic of Amnesia? Why? Oh, there was a poll done, I believe, by some Taiwan outfit that something like over 90% of people under a certain age don't even know about the Tiananmen Square massacre. Okay, that opens up a whole nother subject about books, which is a good segue into Mr. St. Prince's question. So you asked me earlier, favorite nonfiction book that influenced you. In the current war we're in against communism, I'd say the book that influenced me the most in the last 5 years was probably The Spectre of Communism, which was written by multiple authors at the Epoch Times. Not so much because it was tons of facts I didn't know, but it really laid out the entire kind of framework of what I was feeling and showed me like that makes sense. That's what communists are doing. Now, why is the specter of communism important? I'll tell you why. Some time ago, a few years ago, I was talking to Seth Holhouse. He is my friend and the host of Man in America, which I highly recommend. It's a great show. He's one of my favorite people to be a guest on because he's a great interlocutor. But I said, hey, Seth, question for you. Why does Xi Jinping hate and target the Falun Gong so much? The Falun Gong are practitioners of kind of like a clean living type thing, not really a militant organization. They're also behind Shen Yun and Epoch Times itself. Really good people. They're also the second largest population in the Chinese re-education camps, which I'm pretty sure are live human organ harvesting farms. So I asked Seth, why does the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, target Falun Gong so much? And he said, because we know the entire history of their criminality, they being the CCP. And I said, oh man, he goes, and we hand it out all over the world. I said, well, And I said, where does one get that? Is it a leaflet? He goes, no, I think I sent it to your wife, Naomi Wolf, not too long ago. It's called The Specter of Communism. It's 2 volumes. So to answer your question, Chris, that's one of them. Overall, a nonfiction book that influenced me the most, I would say it was and I got to look up the author because it's been a while. But there was a book way back when I did a lot of my college while I was in the military. Yeah, so there's a book called The Discoverers by Daniel J. Boorstin, and The Discoverers by Daniel J. Boorstin. And I'd say that's one of the books that influenced me the most because it really made me look at everything from time and space and physics, to see where we are, how we see ourselves in the world. And it was, I forgot the course. I really wish I remembered. It was not a big college either. I was stationed at Fort Lewis at the time. I think it was like Pierce Community College. I took this course, but it was a wonderful course, and I'd recommend that one. It's great, but it's a hard question to answer because as we go through different phases in our life, different things are influential. But that was definitely one of them. I'd say probably because it popped into my mind, it's probably one of my top influential books. But I can, if you remind me, I've been meaning to put a book list up myself. And I'd recommend people read Naomi's The End of America. It's incredible that she called this, but she called it for the wrong president. She thought the end of America was under Bush after 9/11 with the cessation of a lot of our civil liberties that we should have been more keen on. But really what she outlined was the Biden administration way ahead of time. And keep in mind, she was against Republicans back then, not against, but she was a lifelong Democrat. But it's almost it's almost like a fortune teller book. I'll tell you that. The End of America by Naomi Wolf. I highly recommend it. This is impressive, Chris. This is impressive. Very few people have even heard of that book, Fire with Fire. I actually have the book poster, the tour poster, and I found a copy in the used bookstore that I was looking for, and I was like, "Hey, I never knew you wrote this." And she's like, "Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool that you know that book." So yeah, but that's a good question, and Chris, I'd love to know which one has influenced you. Definitely, I would say the best book you could read that's nonfiction if you want to learn more about um, the Chinese Communist Party, which is the most powerful communist party in the world right now. And they're kind of driving the train of communism with Russia right alongside with them. A really good book that you can read is Stealth Wars by Robert Spalding, former general in the Air Force. And he has another one called A War Without Rules. He's talking about unrestricted warfare, which is another manifesto, I guess you could read, from the PRC from 1999. But yeah, love to. And by the way, anyone that wants to send me book recommendations, by all means do. Let me pop my email up there. There we go. You can always do that, or like the communist in the chat can always spam me. That's fine. Okay, so let me see. Naomi Wolf. Okay, wait, that's all me. Hold on. Communism. Sorry, lost my place, guys. Bless you and thank you. Okay. Workers will win. Brian, what's your favorite book? Okay, here we go. Why do workers? Yeah, so I see you, Roscoe. It's a good question. They can never answer it. I want to ask, and she asks again. He's not going to answer it. That they don't answer questions because they don't have answers. Favorite nonfiction book that influenced you? Fire with Fire. Typical communist response? ? And by the way, I haven't blocked anyone. DKC, did he? I'm putting you on the stage. I haven't blocked you. I don't block people. Yep, I just found I just fought it locally in the court against 2 TWP. Yeah, so I self-represent against the government. Yeah, actually, and anti-corruption is a great follow. She's fantastic. She actually puts her money where her mouth is, and um, she's always, I mean, since the beginning of the pandemic, she's out there in her car, with, you know, outside of like Pfizer labs. I mean, it's amazing. She's been arrested. Um, yeah. And, hopefully, we can definitely, Autumn, solidify your role in this fight. And, as me and my friend Dallas Ludlum continue to grow this little due diligence empire, we are on our way to making. So, yeah, by the way, DKC Diddy, I didn't block you. So I don't know what you're talking about. I don't block people. Self-represent, and then read the book, The Black Book of Communism. I will write that down and I will read it. And by the way, another one, Chris St. Prince. Did you change your avatar? Yeah, you did. Okay. Oh no, you just switched to your YouTube, I guess. Anyways, Chris St. Prince. I don't know if you've read. Have you read any Trevor Loudon? Because I'd highly recommend any book that he's written. He's the foremost expert in my mind on the modern presence of communism or how it appears in our system. Trevor Loudon is fantastic. He's been on the show, and he was in town speaking the other day. And unfortunately, I missed his presentation. I had to run up north out of the city to go tend to weatherproof a home because something had gone wrong. But so I got back too late. It was an early presentation, but Trevor, and he's from New Zealand. He now lives in the United States, but his stuff is great. The Enemies Within, great book, great movie. He's got Enemies Within the Church. You can't go wrong with Trevor Loudon. But this was a nice surprise. Trevor, who he's definitely a mentor from afar, but academic I greatly respect. And he was right down the street. So I said, hey, I don't know if you've already gone to the next part of your tour, but I sent him a text. I said, if you're in town, would love to grab a drink or dinner. And he's like, oh, that sounds great. And so then I'm rushing to get out of the house. Naomi was on her way back from somewhere else. And then she came in. I said, yeah, I got to get out and go meet Trevor Loudon, and whom I'd never met in person. And she's like, oh, okay. And then I said to Trevor, hey, you know what, man? It's gonna be 9:00 before we could get a dinner reservation. Would you like to come to our house and we can eat here? And he did. So both me and Naomi and Loki and Trevor, we had like 4 hours of just hanging out, and what an amazing guy. So I can't say enough about Trevor Loudon. He's a great guy now, a great friend. And I wrote down Black Book of Communism. That's a good recommendation. I appreciate it. And it's good, all of you guys on the chat, definitely share your social media profiles. If you want to be followed from this, pop it up on the screen. Most people on here are going to follow you on X, I'll just say. But if you have your thing, you pop it up, I'll put it up on the screen so people can follow each other. And the reason I say that is because this is good to get book recommendations, because it's so hard to know what's propaganda and what's not. So thank you so much, Chris. All right. Under communism, workers aren't exploited by private owners. Oh my God, this person's an idiot. They get job security. Okay. I mean, seriously, DK Diddy, I'm going to laugh at you because you're communist, so you deserve no respect, or you're representing communists. So normally I respect even my enemies, but you guys are like somewhere beneath that. You know nothing about communist history. It's very clear to me. Or you are 50 Cent Army sitting in jail and you got to say this, you get 50 cents per post. I don't know what you are, but I can tell you one thing you're not. And that's someone who reads history or perhaps doesn't even read, because talk to any former Soviet country citizen, talk to the Cubans, see how it's going for them. I'll even post a good documentary that I think you should watch. They get the basic needs like healthcare and education. They don't get shit, man. I don't know what fantasy world you're living in, but clearly you've never lived under a communist regime unless you are one of the communists keeping your boot on the neck of the workers, because that's what communists do. They use workers like slaves, and that's a fact. Nice try, though. The End of America and Give Me Liberty are brilliant. Those are great books, and I like Give Me Liberty especially because they're companions. But they certainly, I think Give Me Liberty and they certainly go together. I'm going to put up Trevor's. So I'll put up his website here. Okay, and check out my episodes too where I've had him on. He's great. So let me just share the screen here, and then I'm going to call it a night pretty soon, guys. But I'll be on again. This was an impromptu thing. So, all right. So if you want to find Trevor, just go there. Okay, it's trevorloudon.com. He was way ahead of the curve on this one. Trust me. He wrote a good book on Kamala. This is a must read, by the way. Really talks about why Minnesota and all these things. But here's his website. And then in the story, you can see his books. Make sure that is going. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so his books are, they're all fantastic. So you see what he's doing is he's showing communism now, not history. There's history here, but there's so much in his books that you can't go wrong with. The Enemies Within, the movie is fantastic. Definitely order it. And he brings his receipts. Another one I'd recommend is, and so that's trevorloudon.com, just trevorloudon.com. The other one I'd recommend is Peter Schweitzer. He just recently wrote a great book called I hope I don't drop that. There we go. Okay, this is, I don't have the jacket, unfortunately, but sorry, it's the camera's flipped. But The Invisible Coup by Peter Schweitzer. He also wrote Red-Handed. Lots. This is it's a relatively short book, but he brings his receipts as well. You can't go wrong. So you'll learn a lot. You got to do the work, but these books are really written well and they flow well, and you'll learn a lot. And people might seem overwhelmed if you're not used to learning about communism or something new in the geopolitical space. I always tell people this. If you ever read comic books as a kid, you're overwhelmed by the Marvel universe, right? You're like, who's Galactus? Who are the X-Men? Who's the Silver Surfer? Where's he come in? There's just so many titles. Like, how do you do it? Well, you do it easily, like I did. I wasn't really into comic books, but I worked at an ice cream shop in Maine, and next door there was a drugstore, and they sold comic books. And I used to just buy a comic book. It wasn't like they were a dime. They were like 75 cents back then. And I just start reading them because I was bored out of my mind. And I kind of got hooked into it, and next thing you know, I'm reading, for instance, the X-Men, and then the X-Men mention this guy Wolverine. So I'm like, oh, there's a Wolverine title. And you just start with something, and I was into the X-Men, and then I kind of branched out to all the other characters that were sub-characters to their plot. And then you go and read Wolverine, and then the X-Men are sub-characters. Then there's more sub-characters, and you just immerse yourself in it. And pretty soon you kind of break through. If it's kind of dry to you, you will break through where, like, now I'm at the point where, like, anything, like, I'm out of communist documentaries. I'm out of USSR documentaries. Hell, I'm out of French Revolution documentaries and books. And because you just devour it. But once you dive into it, then you can see it a mile away, from the zoning boards to the school boards to certain things under COVID-19, like the One Health plan. That's a Maoist plan. That was the paradigm shift in public health, where they wanted equity between animals, the earth, and humans. Yeah, I mean, and I've covered this extensively. I won't go too far into it. It's getting late. Let me see. Yeah, I'll check out. Yeah, definitely worth checking out Trevor. Okay, and then Roscoe says DKC they're exploited by the state. I know DKC doesn't know he or she is talking about. They're just if it even is a real person, they're probably let's give DKC the benefit of the doubt. Let's pretend DKC is a real person in this country. I don't think they are. Um, who really believes it? They've gotten a bad education. Like most kindergartners know the things DKC was saying are not true. So, but reading is a challenge itself, and we wish DKC luck. We should maybe even start a GoFundMe for DKC. It's going to be called the Learn to Read DKC Fund. We'll hook him right up. So we'll have fun with that. All right, let me see. Jared repost. Thank you, Jared. I appreciate it and welcome. CCP is alive and well in my local government, and you're in Michigan, which makes it dangerous that they want to put a missile defense system in my town for the Golden Dome. Can you say national security risk? I'm gonna. Yes, I can. But they're not putting it in. I mean, Autumn. It's our missile defense system, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the risk is, but you're solid, so I'm not questioning you. But we need to talk more about that to find out what the risk is. Because if Autumn is saying or anti-corruption is saying there's a security risk, she knows something I don't know, and I haven't looked into it. So let's talk. One of the best book. Yeah. Hey, thanks. No longer tired. The Bodies of Others is it's really good. And I'll tell you the key thing about The Bodies of Others by Naomi. It was her first COVID book. It really gave you a sense of the class disparities that are really driving a lot of these communist, socialist, destructive agendas. And if you caught No Longer Tired at the beginning, where she's talking about the cocktail party with the hedge fund managers and everything, I recommend everyone read that for sure. Because that's the biggest problem in this country. It's not race, it's not DEI, it's class. Okay. And there is a class of people in this country, a lot of them are in the Epstein files, who they don't even care like the party. Like they're not partisan. It's about money. Okay. And they do look at anyone without an 8-figure balance, 8-figure, as not even worth talking to. And I know this because I was always the plus one at a lot of these, and she was in that she wasn't in that class, but she was always on the invite list. Okay, because she's an archetype of a writer and a feminist leader, and so you would be hobnobbing with some major power players, and they would just assume I was one of them. And they would say things like, I should run for president. I know what the people want. And I'm like, what's your doorman's name? And they couldn't answer me. And, I think I confuse them because I'm like, I'm there. And I'm sure a lot of them are like, well, I don't get him, but he's here. So I guess he's cool. But yeah, it's amazing how many of them just are in a different world. Even in New York, they're, 28 floors looking down. And then they're in Connecticut on the weekends. So it's definitely worth a read. Thanks for bringing that up. No Longer Tired. Okay, got it. Let me see. My F and X mayor signed an agreement with my city. Really? Oh, wait, no, wait. Is this new? Shoot me a text if you would. You don't have to do it tonight, but shoot me a text. Well, look, guys, I want to know more about that because we know what's going on in Canada right now. We know that, from what I was reporting. Well, I mean, let me just show you guys while I got you all this late. You stayed up this late. I'll stay up a little later with you. Okay, let's just share my Twitter. All right. So we're going to put this one here. Okay. So here is my Twitter account. So this is DSA, by the way. I always keep this one up. They were hosted by the Cuban president, the foreign affairs officer, just in October. Okay. That's the NYC DSA, the people that backed Mandame. So this Monday, members of the NYC DSA were welcomed by the Permanent Mission of Cuba to the UN, Cubano UN, to participate in a conversation with Cuban Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez Pardilla, Deputy Foreign Minister Carlos Fernandez de Castillo, and others from the Embassy of Cuba, U.S. What they don't say in that is they actually met with the president of Cuba himself, these DSA members. And I'm in Brooklyn, and this is like they're all around. So people don't take them seriously, they're going to have a problem. New York didn't take them seriously or even know who they were, and look what happened. So I just wanted to point that out. But the other thing is, and I will just call this up here. So, yeah. Anti-Corrupt's talking about like how they signed a contract, and that's what you have to watch out for. And that's why it's so important to understand what unrestricted warfare is. Unrestricted warfare is the Communist Manifesto from 1999, which was leaked by the People's Republic of China Army, the PRC Army, or the People's Liberation Army, which basically laid out an entire new way of warfare that they had to consider based on our tactical success and strategic success in Desert Storm, Desert Shield. In a nutshell, the Chinese looked at that. They said, we can't beat these guys kinetically. We need to look at a different way. And they came up with this unrestricted warfare, which the basic rule is everyone's an enemy combatant and everything is a battlefield. The boardroom, medical, illicit narcotics, fabrication in retail trade, everything's a battlefield. And that's how they don't view war in how you fight it. They view war in accomplishing a task, accomplishing a goal. Just winning the war is all they care about. And so it's not going to be a Red Dawn thing. It's a slow boil. And that's how they like it, because let's face it, they're not the most confrontational people throughout history. And except for maybe, when they took out the nationalists, like right after World War II. But for the most part, they are very smart about, okay, if your enemy's bold, then appear meek, and we fall for it every time. We're looking for the parachutes in the sky. We're looking for the CIA to tag our car. We're looking for that kinetic threat all the time. The Chinese know this about Westerners, so they make sure they don't appear in any way to be kinetic. I mean, if you've ever worked in China like I have, or have worked with Chinese business people, they're the nicest people you'll ever meet, okay, on the face. And I'm not saying they're bad, but what I am saying is they're beholden to the CCP. Let me just pull this up. And this is old news, but I think it's important that we start going back to our older posts so people understand, what they missed. So check this out. This I posted some time ago. So all of our rail cars, like most of our commuter rail cars in this country, are made by a company that's wholly owned by the Chinese Communist Party. The BART, the L, I don't know if the MTAs are at, there probably are, the T in Boston, several of the BART, I think I said earlier. And that scares the hell out of me, because that's a huge part of our infrastructure. And it's one of the biggest tools that the Chinese use to implement the social credit system in China. You can't get on the train if your social credit is too low. If you don't know what that is, look it up. We'll talk about it next time. Basically, think of that episode of Black Mirror where the lady couldn't even get a rental car because she kept pissing off people who would rate her low. That's basically what it is. All right, so here I am sharing this screen. All right, so this was in 2021. Make sure you guys can see that. You can. Great. Okay, so in 2021, I went to CRRC. I couldn't believe it that CRRC was on my way to where I live in Hudson Valley. Okay, so this is some footage I shot outside. they make all the rail cars for the T, and check out the accident record since the Chinese. Now, yes, that is a Chinese flag there. Okay, that you see there. Okay, that is in the heart of Massachusetts. And this was signed by, it was Charlie Baker, a Republican governor of Massachusetts, that helped these guys break ground. I mean, it's amazing. Okay, so, and there it is there. All right, so if you go there, and you can find this. Oh, yeah, there's the video. Check this out. That's Springfield right there. Okay, that's Springfield right there. And when I went to this thing, I got, I kid you not, man, I got followed by so much security. It was insane because I guess they saw me cruising around and doing all that. But, anyways, that's just one part of it. But if you look at so many things, it's like, everyone's so worried about this country controlling our country. Don't worry about how much money we give to another country. Usually, when you give money to someone, you kind of control them. Worry about how much money is invested in our country from foreign countries. Those are the ones you have to watch out for, because those local politicians work for that investor. If that investor is our enemy, our neighbors are working for the enemy. That's just reality. All right, so all the best to you and Naomi. Good night from Toronto. Good night to you, Chris. Thank you so much. Our meds made in China. Yeah. As a matter of fact, there's a really popular company called All Family Pharma that is like really big with MAGA. I consider myself MAGA, but these guys stuck out at me, and I did some deep research on them. I won't go into the detail. You can find most of those things at consumerdiligence.org. But they're selling ivermectin that's made in China, and they're touting themselves as this all patriotic family. And they're actually endorsed by the president's son. Okay. And now even Dan Bongino is like, I'm like, Jesus, guys, do some due diligence already. Like, it's not only that their ivermectin's coming from China, but they tried to hide it. Okay. They tried to hide it. And I recorded the screen and everything to show you how they did. Not to mention that the CEO has a list of felony charges longer than my arm, and that their prescribing doctor is currently under investigation for Medicare and TRICARE fraud. That's especially nefarious because TRICARE is the military, but All Family Pharmacy, and it's like all these people are like just touting them. It's like, no, it's not because they don't care. It's just that no one does due diligence anymore, and it's embarrassing. But yeah, all right. Chinese birthing homes in SoCal. No longer tired. Can you send me a link to Brian at dailyclout.io? I'd like to look into that. And the reason why is the other book I'll recommend for you guys is, I'm sorry, it's backwards, but Kill to Order. This is a new one by my friend Jan Jekelnik over at the Epoch Times. This is all about China's organ harvesting industry, the true nature of America's biggest adversary. This just came out. We got a copy. He sent it to us. He's a good friend. I'm tearing through this, and it's hard to get through this because it's just like, even though I know a lot of this stuff, when you see when it's laid out in such a good form in this, that it's just, this is nightmarish stuff. I can't recommend that enough. And by all means, reach out to Jan on X. He's easy to find. Sorry, I can't flip the camera right now, but it's called Kill to Order by Jan Jekelnik. Yeah, this will keep you up at night, but it's all true. And there's another one by my good friend Brandon Whitecard. I don't have it in front of me. It's called Biohacked: China's Race to Control Life. All of these you have to look at, because as you can see with Peter's book about, Chinese influencing this country and this country, what we've seen with the maritime wars, where the armadas of fishing boats from Chinese will literally just rape a coastline of their fish as far over as Ecuador. Okay. The Chinese are flipping out right now because of Cuba. They've got 3 signals intelligence bases in Cuba. They had lent Maduro a ton of money to improve on the infrastructure that we originally invested in. And we've cut off a big oil supply for China right now. They're trying to be, they want to be the global hegemon by 2049, which would be the official 100-year anniversary of the Chinese Communist Party. They're flipping out right now because they're in a very weakened position. Okay, so definitely, but the way they come at us, it's almost like the Hydra. I forgot, was it Hercules that fought the Hydra? Basically, like there's a million heads. Like, yeah, you stop the oil here, but then they're coming at you with fabrication warfare and bio warfare. Even in Peter Schweitzer's book, he talks about the Manchurian voters that the Chinese have created. And what they've done is they've sent people over to the United States. I'm simplifying this here. They conceive and they stay long enough so their child's born in the United States, and they go back to China with the kid and raise a kid in the Chinese Communist Party's fashion, but they're American citizens. And there's like an armada of these kids about to be unleashed for the next 20 years. I mean, you really have to like suspend everything you know about warfare, and don't let, if your normal view of the world is telling you that that's crazy, then prove that you're crazy. Look into it. If someone like me or Jan or Peter Schweitzer or anyone is saying this is happening, Brandon Weichard, you might want to stop and think, okay, why are these guys who are well educated and have their reputations to worry about, who are also contracted by some of the biggest organizations in the world, why are they saying this? Maybe I should listen to them. And I always tell people, don't try to prove me right. Try to prove me wrong, because that's when you're going to get the most clear view of things. And try to prove yourself wrong if you have your own theories on things. If you have your own theories on the Epstein files or Israel or even China, if you have your own theories, don't try to prove your theories. You'll always be able to prove your theories. Try to disprove your theories. And you might find that you're able to, but then a new theory pops up, and it's the theory you cannot disprove that is normally what's really happening. All right. Check your text. I was saying stuff about my city in China. We'll do Autumn for sure. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to present it tonight because I want to look at it, but I'm going to be doing a lot of streaming this week, so we got a lot of work to do. And everyone, do go to bandthebrotherhood.org. Show your support where you can. We have a vote coming up in Texas really quickly to ban Sharia law. Okay, doesn't matter if you live in Texas. Everyone needs to be keenly aware of this. And look, I'll say this to the Muslims out there, and I have a lot of Muslim friends. I know a lot of people do. And I'm not one of those people that say that, all Muslims are bad, because they're not. But what I am saying is the people leading your religion, they do not have good intentions in mind for a peaceful coexistence, and they never have. Okay. I had to face some hard truths with my Roman Catholic religion over the years. I think it's time for Muslims, even my friends, to face some hard truths about their own religion. With that being said, I will say this, to the Muslims out there working in this red-green alliance with the communists, read some history. It never works out for the Muslims. Okay. There were 25,000 mosques in what later became the USSR after 1925. By 1982, there were 500 mosques. Islam became known in the USSR as the religion of old men. Why? Because as youths, as young people were born, what the communists did is they would indoctrinate them into their education, which is an atheist teaching, and they would just phase out the religion, just nice and slow. And that's what they did all across the USSR territories. In China, it's worse. They just put a bunch of them in, almost the entire population of Muslims in the re-education camps, and they're harvesting they're harvesting their organs. And who's their main customer? Rich Arab countries. Why? Halal organs. Okay. So, you guys might think you got some good pals here with the Reds, but you don't. They're going to screw you over. And I know you think you're going to screw them over too, but let me tell you something. They're a lot more organized than you. They're a lot more organized. And come on. I mean, you guys couldn't even get organized, for the 6 Day War because you're too busy fighting for like command of the army, and you had no control over the irregulars. I know that history too. So um, that's the thing. Do you think you're organized enough to defeat the communists? Should you all get what you want? Because let me tell you, let me play this out for you. Um, you guys get caught up so much in the zeal of it, in the battle, and the kinetic part of it. Well, you're doing that just like what's happening now with MAGA. Well, while everyone's caught up in the fight, the battle right now, you know what the communists are doing? Taking over zoning boards, taking over school boards, taking low-level government positions to change regulations, to change laws. I'm sure Autumn has a million stories like that. And then before you know it, you're like, whether you're MAGA, whether you're the radical Muslims, before you know it, they've already outmaneuvered you. They've taken the entire chessboard. You get some good chess pieces, they don't care. They own the board by the end of it. So, I would say to all the Muslims right now, if you're working with the DSA, turn against them because they're going to screw you over. Turn against them in any way you see fit. They're going to screw you over. I don't want either one of you to win. My hope is that you'll turn against them, they'll turn against you, and you guys will cancel each other out. But even if you don't want that to happen, you have no choice. They are going to screw you, Muslims. Trust me. Socialists, the Democratic Socialists, and the the Party for Socialism and Liberation, they have no plans in the future that include you guys having a religion. Trust me. Just read a little history. It's the same thing every time. All right, so referred to as birth. Yes, that is correct. No longer tied to birth tourism. Exactly. So, all right, guys. In summary, we came here tonight. We watched Donald Trump's speech. I think is one of the best State of the Unions I've seen. Also, Marco Rubio's speech at the Munich Security Conference some weeks ago, incredible as well. I think tonight, what I also saw was I saw a lot of Democrats reluctantly standing up, even before they guilted them into standing up. I think you're seeing the civil war on the left, and that civil war is between the socialists and the Democrats. Look around my neighborhood; they have wanted posters for Hakeem Jeffries and Dan Goldman, and those posters are put up by the Democratic Socialists of America, or simply go to their website, DSA. They make it clear they want to use the Democrats, then destroy the Democrats. This is what they did in Czechoslovakia in 1948. Same thing. Okay, scuttle the right with one group of communists, take over the left, use those small committee posts to take out your enemies on the left, and then basically exile the right or scatter them. How's that happening on the right? That's easy. All this Charlie Kirk nonsense spewing out of that idiot Candace Owens, a lot of that she's getting from Max Blumenthal, being echoed by people like Jimmy Dore and Kim Iverson. These people have all been paid by socialists and communists. Blumenthal, I'm sure he still is. They're not putting America first. They say it in their plans. They're targeting MAGA because they see them as the best targets because they're working class and they're anti-establishment for the most part. That's why they're targeting them. Don't get fooled. Anything that tells you to not vote in the midterms or tells you that this one group of people, that being the Jews in the case of the MAGA communists, are to blame for all your problems, that's just Tsarist propaganda and then Nazi propaganda after that. It's the same thing. They're trying to rule the world. That goes back to 1907. Okay? It's the same old game. I'm amazed people didn't pick up on that. But the thing is, anyone that tells you that this one group is the bad guys, this one country is the bad guys, that's garbage. Every country is the bad guys and every country is the good guys. That's the thing. It's the people who are the opportunists with the ways and the means to be evil that are doing the evil. It's not one group of people over another group of people. It's a class thing. That's the thing. And so, if you're not sure what to believe, then believe in the Constitution. Believe in America first. Okay? Believe, if I go with that person says, will it be better for my family and my community? Will this give my grandchildren a country that I live in that I'm proud of? That's it. That's all you have to do. You don't have to figure out like who's working for who and all that. Just figure out, okay, if this elected official says this, does this work for me, my home, my family, my community? Okay. Obviously, family first, community, second. You want a strong community, which is confusing because I know it sounds kind of communist, right? But it's not. Community under our Constitution, our way of life. Okay. And if it doesn't, well, then believe what they say. Like, they don't have you in mind. If they say, hey, you know what? Donald Trump's destroying this country. They all say that, but they don't have a plan. That's obviously garbage, but they don't have a plan. Like, however, I will do this. We can do this. They don't have that. It's all about power. So if you don't see anything that says, hey, we need to work together to make sure your land rights and private property rights are protected. Okay. We need to make sure that your voting rights, your gun rights, your freedom of speech, not ours, yours, is protected. That's it. That's it. Okay. Save that other stuff for after the midterms and after the next election. That's all I can say. I mean, there's so many people I think that are confused. Like, oh my God, I can't trust Trump because he's with Israel and he, this and the other thing. And well, could you trust Biden? He was with Israel. Okay. Bush was with Israel. Every president, they're our ally. They're not perfect, neither are we. But perfect is the enemy of good. And can you think of any other person any other country you'd want to be allies with in the Middle East? If you say Qatar, you're in the wrong place because you know nothing about Qatar. And oh, by the way, all you Qatar shills, you should know that Israel gets intel shared with them from Qatar about a lot of people in the United Arab Emirates, in Jordan, and Syria. So yeah, Qatar is kind of selling out their own Arab brothers and sisters. So people should know that. But yeah, just, again, I'm going down. I'm making it more confusing. But what I will say is this. R plus Trump loss. R plus US. I don't know what that says, buddy, but I hope it's good. I'm too tired to translate that. Is that good? I don't know. Is that good? No longer tired? Is that, you can say anything you want, but like, I just want to make sure I'm reading that right. This R plus USA. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, anyways, that's all you got to do. Is like, it's, does this work under the Constitution? And if you don't know the Constitution, then get yourself a copy and carry it around. I do. My son does. My daughter does. And she's a go along to get along. She has no political views at all, but she carries it. If we watch Candace for entertainment, knowing she's full of shit, is that harmful? She's entertaining. I know she's full. I'm not going to tell you what to watch, Roscoe. I will say this, the way the human mind works, just make sure you're balancing it with some reality, because I'll put it this way. A long time ago when I was in special forces and they sent us to Tampa to test some new equipment. And for some reason, all of us guys are hooked. We bring our game consoles with us. And I got hooked on like Grand Theft Auto. We all did. We're like, partying and playing Grand Theft Auto because we're working all day. We work out at work and all that. But when we weren't going out on the town, we're like, yeah, dude, got to play Grand Theft Auto. And then I started noticing we were having races to work in real cars and doing crap like we were doing Grand Theft Auto. Like I remember cutting through this gas station like at lightning speed. I could have killed someone. So be careful, because your brain can get tuned away from reality by exposing it to anything too much. So just make sure you're reading a book and, that sort of thing. I don't watch her anymore. It's just a waste of my time. But I do watch like left-wing media and everything because I want to see what the messaging is. And I do have to tune into her every now and then because I want to see what the messaging is so I can track it back to Blumenthal and the Russians and the Chinese, which I normally can do. It's, never forget that, a woman lost her husband. And this monstrous woman, Candace Owens, is making something called The Bride of Charlie or something. She's sick in the head, man. Me personally, I of the camp that I don't like to platform in my head propagandists or sickos. But it's your choice. So just tread carefully. Shit though. She's full of shit though. Yeah, I know. Oh, they are memes. Sorry, man, they didn't come through Rumble chat. Oh, gotcha. Oh, were they the ones I set up in there? That's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna get this fixed. I know it's with StreamYard. I can't see everything on one platform, and that's what I want. So we might have to go to like Riverside or something. The first one was an American flag waving in the wind. The second one was President Trump dancing. Thank you. I appreciate that. And that's a good note to leave on. Autumn, I will look for your thing. We will do it. If anyone wants to get ahead of the curve for my next upcoming episode, maybe not tomorrow, I am looking with the help of Consumer Due Diligence, Consumer Diligence, which is at Consumer DD. I'm looking into Everlywell. So just check out Everlywell. If you dig deep enough and you go into my X, you will understand exactly why I'm looking into Everlywell. But I don't even care if you scoop me. That's how this place works. It's not me investigating everything. It's all of us investigating everything. But there is my X right there. And I would just say search me and look for Everlywell. And you'll see exactly where I'm going with this. It's pretty explosive. And it kind of relates to Jan Ekelnick's book. So, right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I will see most of you later on this week. And thank you so much for joining me this evening. It's been fun to have you. It's always fun to come on. Sometimes I'm like, oh man, I'm too tired to go on. Every time I go on, I'm glad I did. And that's because of all of you. Thank you so much, everyone. It's been Brian O'Shea with Investigate Everything. Have a great night.